My name is Olga Petryniak, and I'm the Senior Director for Resilience and Food Security with Mercy Corps. Mercy Corps is a non-governmental organization working in over 40 countries, many characterized by fragility and conflict. And so we work across the humanitarian, peace, and development spectrum to support communities to not only meet immediate needs, but also achieve their long-term goals. And across this work, we focus on building resilience to strengthen resilience capacities that can help communities cope with the crisis at hand, adapt to impending crises, and ultimately transform the drivers of crisis and vulnerability so they can achieve their long-term aspirations and long-term goals. But we recognize that thinking about resilience in conflict settings can often be misunderstood or sometimes downright contentious. I'd like to offer that resilience adds value to peace building and that we really should be considering the two together. And it adds value in three very important ways. First, resilience acknowledges that conflict and the drivers of conflict don't exist in isolation of other risk factors and shocks and stressors. For example, resilience guides us to focus on the climate conflict nexus and how water scarcity due to the effects of climate change or more frequent and severe natural disasters that are now driving more displacement can drive conflict. It guides us to focus on pandemics, food price spikes, economic disruptions as potential conflict drivers. And not only does it give us strong analytical tools to understand these comprehensive issues, but it also gives us more programming options. For example, in the DRC, Mercy Corps couples conflict mitigation efforts among communities who are in dispute over land and livelihoods with climate and conflict sensitive market-based livelihood development and land governance and land titling efforts to both build resilience and help achieve peace in that context. At the same time, we've seen in the middle belt for example, livelihood adaptation in the context of resource degradation and changing climate, that we may not be achieving that lasting peace. Second, resilience is important because it really focuses us to look at future threats in addition to root causes, which are critical in the peace building space. For example, recent research has shown that COVID-19 could likely lead to 13 new conflicts by 2022. But perhaps we don't often think of measures that help address the secondary effects of COVID, like income losses, economic disruptions, and heightened food insecurity as peace building measures. But in fact, they often can be and can contribute to peace if we also focus on building resilience to the effects of COVID. And finally, resilience is really important in protracted crises. We know in protracted crises that now last an average of 9 years or more, it takes time for peace to take hold. We need diplomatic solutions as well as peace-building measures. But in the meantime, we also need to help communities live better lives in the midst of crisis. And our research across Syria, South Sudan, Northeast Nigeria has shown that in those contexts, communities often rely more on local market systems and their local social connections and social systems, even more than they do on humanitarian aid to better cope. And that when they rely on those systems, they have better food security outcomes, better incomes, and better psychosocial well-being indicators, even in the midst of conflict. And so resilience guides us to really focus on those factors as we're focusing on long-term peace. I'd also like to close with the fact that conflating peace and resilience can be dangerous. Resilience does not mean we've built lasting peace. And when we achieve peace or indicators of peace, it doesn't mean that it's unbreakable and that we've really achieved resilience. We need to see peace as a collective outcome that we are striving for, and we need to couple peace building and resilience building measures together to really push for and strive for those collective outcomes. We need to keep them both in mind to really support a world with greater stability, peace, and prosperity for all.